Not going to waste my time on an intro today because we have got so much to get into with today's video. This is NBA Mock Draft 4.0. Full first round.
Full first round.
Full first round. Picks 1 through 30. What? Let's get into it. How's it going, guys? This is Troy, and such a fun video today. Been looking forward to doing another mock draft because they are one of my favorite things to do. So, most NBA YouTube channels, they only do a mock draft of the lottery, picks 1 through 14, but we do things a little bit differently here on Half Court Report, and when I say we, I just mean me, yours truly. It's a one-man show here. This channel is a little bit different. I'm going to go with the extra mile for you guys. This is going to be full first round, picks 1 through 30, and if you stick around to the end, I may even have a surprise there for you too. But this is the content you guys want to see, so I just want to make you guys happy, want to make you guys enjoy this channel as much as you can. So maybe I'm crazy. Let's try to get to 500 likes on this video, and if I can get to 700 likes, I'm going to do an entire mock draft. So 700 likes to get that 1 through 60 first and second round video. Also, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do that. I am on the road to 10,000 subscribers by the time we get to the end of the year. This is one of the fastest growing channels on YouTube, and you want to be a part of it. First pick in mock draft 4.0 is going to be by the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they're going to go with LaMelo Ball. He has good size, 6'7", awesome passer. This player is so fun to watch. He's going to get guys shots. I do think if he learns to take better shots, he can be a really solid player. I don't think Minnesota really is in love with anybody here, so it would not surprise me if they trade the pick. So maybe just take that best player available, or maybe the player who is going to have the most trade value in the long run. I think a lot of teams are interested in LaMelo. Pick number 2 is going to be made by the Golden State Warriors, and they are picking James Wiseman from the University of Memphis. This dude is huge. 7'1", 7'6" wingspan, pick and roll finisher. I think being a rim runner is his strength right now, and I think you can maybe see him stretch the floor a little bit as he gets in his career, maybe be a better defender as well. I do think that this is another pick that can be traded. I don't think the Warriors are in love with anybody. They want veterans on their team so they can make a run at another championship. This is also the type of player a lot of other teams are going to want to trade for. Pick number 3 in mock draft 4.0 is going to be made by the Charlotte Hornets, and they are picking Anthony Edwards from the University of Georgia. 6'5", 6'10" wingspan, one-and-done player, averaged 20 points per game in his season at Georgia. Really high upside, strong build. This guy is a tank, but he is kind of a frustrating player. Maybe a little bit in that Dion Waiters mold. The guy not always making the best decisions when he has the ball, streaky shooter. I know that Charlotte would like James Wiseman, but Anthony Edwards, fine consolation prize in this draft. He could be a top 5 shooting guard one day if everything with his career breaks right in the NBA. Pick number 4 is going to be made by the Chicago Bulls, and they are picking Deni Avdija. Deni just became the youngest Israeli League MVP. His team won the championship. He is moving up draft boards. Wouldn't surprise me if when I do another one of these mock drafts before the draft in late November, that he's moved up a spot or two in this draft. He is a point forward, good passer, good size, really unselfish player. Not going to be the type of guy you want to run your offense through, say like with Luka Doncic, but maybe a guy like Paul George who can still help in facilitating that offense and getting guys good shots from time to time. He really improved over this past year, and I think he is going to be solid in the NBA. I think a hustle player for the first few years in the league until he really starts to adjust to the NBA, but I see his ceiling as a third option on a winning team. Really good pick, Deni Avdija. Pick number 5 is going to be made by the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they are going with Isaac Okoro from Auburn University. A lot of guys from the South in this draft. So Okoro projects as a 3-and-D guy. He really needs to work on his shooting though. His shooting percentages at Auburn were really sad One of the best defenders in college, though. He can guard multiple positions. He impacts the game without scoring. He's usually going to make the right play. He is a high IQ player, and I think the Cavs need somebody like that because their defense last year was really, really bad. Okoro is a good building block for them to put with Colin Sexton, Darius Garland, Kevin Porter. You know the rest. Pick number 6 is going to be made by the Atlanta Hawks, and they're going with Tyrese Haliburton. Haliburton is a guy that I see as having all-star potential one day. Another guy with high basketball IQ, lots of upside. I think he works well with Atlanta because he can play with Trae Young. He can back up Trae Young because he's 6'5". He's an excellent playmaker, averages of 15, 6, and 7 at Iowa State. He really did it all for his team, just a jack of all trades. Not a flashy kind of player, but he is a winner. I'm a big fan of this guy. Pick number 7 is going to be made by the Detroit Pistons, and they are picking Killian Hayes, who is another international player. He's a 6'5" point guard. He is a nice passer, solid defender, really good pick and roll player too. I think he has the potential to be a good shooter, so that is going to determine a lot of his success at the NBA level. The tools are there, as they say, for him to be a good shooter. So add Hayes to a rotation of Luke Kennard, Derrick Rose, Sekou Doumbouya, Blake Griffin, who's hopefully getting back into form, Christian Wood, who I assume they'll re-sign. That's a nice team. Starting point guard potential for them, hopefully one day. Lots of potential with Killian Hayes. Pick number 8 is going to be made by the New York Knicks. Knicks fans, I'm giving you Obi Toppin, a.k.a. Ob-Top, a.k.a. Obi-Wan Top-Nobi from the University of Dayton. So talented is Ob-Top. Killer on offense. He really scores at every level. I call him Amari Stoudemire light. He's a guy who can produce from day one. His biggest issues, though, on the defensive end. But if you partner him with a guy in the front court like Mitchell Robinson, I think that could help in some of those defensive limitations. I see Ob-Top as definite Rookie of the Year potential. Pick number 9 is going to be made by the Washington Wizards, and they are selecting Onyeka Okongwu from USC. Defense is Okongwu's calling card, and Washington, they need front court help. They need a big guy in the middle. Put him in a nice defensive scheme. Just let him go to work. I think if John Wall comes back healthy, they already have Beal. Add Okongwu to that. He could be the best big man to come out of the draft. Pick number 10 is going to be made by the Phoenix Suns, and I have them selecting Devin Vassell. Here's what we know about Vassell. He is an awesome defender. His offense does need to catch up a little bit, though. I think it will. He is tailor-made for today's NBA, though. I see worst case for him, just that 3-and-D type player, maybe in the Tayshaun Prince mold. But Devin Vassell is a glue guy. He can step in right now and give you some minutes. Great, great value here at pick number 10. Pick number 11 is going to be made by the San Antonio Spurs, and they are selecting Aaron Nesmith from Vanderbilt University, another guy from the South. So V. Smith is an excellent shooter, over 50% from 3 in college. So he's a floor spacer that the Spurs desperately need. They really don't have a lot of guys who can shoot that 3 at a consistent rate. He does need to work on his defense, but I think the Spurs system could help him with that. He's a high character guy. Biggest drawback with Nesmith is he had some injuries last year. I think that could see him tumble a little bit come draft day, but I think at 11 is a really good spot for him. Pick number 12 is going to be made by the Sacramento Kings. They are selecting R.J. Hampton. Not sure what R.J. stands for. Hampton is a guy who skipped college. He played in New Zealand last year. Did not have the same level of success in that area of the world as LaMelo did, but I think he has a lot of that potential, especially when you look at his high school resume. He's a combo guard. He's a shifty athlete with a quick first step. He does need to have a reliable jumper, but I think if that pans out, his long-term upside here is really, really good. And I think all in all, he's one of those guys who could end up being one of the 5 best players in this draft when we look back on it in a few years. Pick number 13 is going to be made by the New Orleans Pelicans, and they are selecting Kira Lewis Jr. Awesome shot creator and scorer is Kira Lewis, one of the fastest dudes in this draft. His defense is pretty good too. one of the best players still on the board at this spot, and I see that New Orleans, they're kind of still in collecting assets mode. They're not exactly sure what they have. They just know they have Zion, Ingram, and a whole bunch of other guys. So they are collecting assets, seeing what works together, and I think Kira Lewis is a good pick for them. Pick number 14 is going to be made by the Boston Celtics, and they are selecting Tyrell Terry, a Stanford man, one-and-done player. He is a shooter with deep range. His biggest issue, though, is he's a little bit undersized, and we're wondering, okay, is he more of a point guard? Is he a shooting guard? A lot of the same questions, actually, that Steph Curry had when he came out into the league from Davidson. Thing with Tyrell Terry, he can get hot, get his shot off from anywhere. So despite his lack of size, he is a crafty finisher at the basket, too. Really competes on both ends of the floor. One thing about him, he's put on a lot of muscle since the college season ended, and that is helping to answer those questions about his strength. We're done with the lottery now, and we're going into pick number 15. That's going to be made by the Orlando Magic. They are selecting Cole Anthony from the University of North Carolina. Of course, the son of former NBA player Greg Anthony. Cole Anthony was a top 5 player before the season started with the rankings. But because of him being on a bad Carolina team and some injuries, he has kind of tumbled down these draft boards. He is a score-first guard. I don't know if he's really a point guard or a shooting guard, but he is a score-first type of guard. He can play make a little bit, but he is tough, and I do like him in a rotation. I think it's really good value outside of the lottery. He could be a future starter in Orlando along with Markelle Fultz, and if both of those guys are able to reach their potential, that's a really scary backcourt. Pick number 16 is going to be made by the Portland Trail Blazers, and they are picking Jalen Smith from the University of Maryland. Smith was really good this past year for the Terrapins. He's a big guy who can shoot, who can handle the ball. His defense, though, does need to improve a little bit, but I really like his potential and his intangibles for Portland. I kind of see him as a Miles Turner type of player, but without the defense right now. It still needs to catch up. Pick number 17 is going to be made by the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they are selecting Saddiq Bey. This is the second pick for Minnesota in this draft. Bey is an ideal 3-and-D type of player that, of course, teams today love. He makes an impact even when he's not scoring. There's something about these Villanova guys. They always seem to pan out when they're in the NBA, and they usually make good pros. Those are the types of guys that Minnesota needs for their team because they want guys who can contribute. They want guys to help them make the playoffs. All that being said, though, wouldn't surprise me if this pick also ends up getting packaged maybe somehow with their number 1 pick if they are going to get a real difference maker for their team. Pick number 18 is going to be made by the Dallas Mavericks, and they are going with Precious Achiuwa from the University of Memphis. Had a great freshman season at Memphis. He is an elite defender. He can guard 4, maybe 5 positions on the floor. His offense, though, is still a work in progress. I'm interested to see what type of player he could be in the Mavericks system because he is an excellent athlete. He's got lateral quickness. He's got explosive leaping ability. He's a guy who plays really hard. Would enjoy to see what Rick Carlisle can get out of him. Pick number 19 is going to be made by the Brooklyn Nets, and they are going with Aleksej Pokusevski, who is a Greek-Serbian player. He is long and lanky, really athletic. He's a floor spacer, can really shoot the 3-ball. Skills of a guard and a big man's body. Big question for him is, can he put on the weight to handle the NBA? He's just barely over 200 pounds now, so I feel like he might get pushed around a lot his first couple of years. Another question is, can his athleticism translate to the best league in the world? So Brooklyn is competing for a title next year. I feel like they can afford to take a flyer on a guy who's going to have a few years away before he can be part of a rotation. He's going to spend the majority of his season in the G League and hopefully be able to contribute in a few years. Pick number 20 is going to be made by the Miami Heat, and they are going with Patrick Williams. And he is a versatile offensive threat who can serve as a shot creator or as a screener. He can fill a range of roles for Miami, and I really think he fits that Heat culture. He is a gritty player who does the little things. This is a guy who could step in and be part of a rotation next year for the Eastern Conference champions. Pick number 21 is going to be made by Philadelphia, and they are selecting Tyrese Maxey, our first Kentucky player to come off the board. He is clutch. He's a winner. He is a bit undersized, so not really a point guard, not really a shooting guard, kind of a tweener in that regard. But I see his role in the NBA as a guy who lights it up off the bench. Bit of a bulldog on defense, too. Kind of Patrick Beverley meets Lou Williams kind of player. Pick number 22 is going to be made by the Denver Nuggets, and they are selecting Desmond Bane. Bane. You're afraid of the dark. I was born in it. So Bane is a real steal here for the Nuggets. He is a high IQ guard who plays really hard. He already has a veteran skill set and I think projects favorably as a role player at the next level. He could be a starter over Gary Harris by the end of the year. Another guy that the Nuggets can plug in into their team next year, and he can give them some good minutes. Pick number 23, going to be made by the Utah Jazz. They are selecting Trey Jones from Duke University. Blue Devil Trey Jones. So he is a floor general with an unselfish, team-first playing style, impactful defender. He's a similar type of player to his brother Tyus Jones, who plays for the Grizzlies right now, who backs up Ja Morant. Mike Conley, though, perfect mentor for Trey Jones. I think he can really teach him about what it means to be a solid point guard in today's NBA. Pick number 24 is going to be made by the Milwaukee Bucks. They are selecting Xavier Tillman from Michigan State. This is a guy who, he's a senior, four-year player, winning guy who can easily pair with some star shot creators because of his playmaking ability and his versatility. I don't know, maybe it's the Michigan State thing, but I get this Draymond Green type of vibe from Tillman. He can be a rotation player right away for Milwaukee. Pick number 25 is going to be made by the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are selecting Vernon Carey, who's also from Duke. Good freshman year for him. He's a throwback big man. Questions remain, though, about his shot and his potential as a defender. Maybe a poor man's DeMarcus Cousins or a Jahlil Okafor type of player. But I don't know, maybe I just have a soft spot for big guys who can really put the ball in the basket and can get some rebounds. He was also very highly ranked coming out of high school. I see him as a first rounder. A lot of mocks don't tend to agree with that, but I would roll the dice and pick him late in the first round. Pick number 26 is going to be made, again, by the Boston Celtics. Their second of 3 picks in the first round, and they're going with Isaiah Stewart from the University of Washington. He's a muscular big guy who just plays his tail off and possesses one of those vintage interior inside games. He could be a Zach Randolph type of player if he puts it all together. Boston, they need big guys. Stewart can be solid. Big question with him, can he become a better passer at that 4 and 5 spot? Pick number 27 is going to be made by the New York Knicks, their second pick in the draft. They are selecting Nico Mannion out of the University of Arizona. Point guard, they took Obi in the lottery. Nico is one of the best passers in this class. I think he's fallen a little bit, kind of become underrated over the last few months. He was a lottery pick going into college. His physical dimensions may limit his upside just a little bit, but New York needs guys to help them run the offense. He was a really high school recruit. He has that pro resume. I think it's good value in the late first round. Pick number 28 is going to be made by your world champion Los Angeles Lakers, and they are selecting Jameis Ramsey. He's a fearless shot maker who needs to improve his playmaking, but he has intriguing potential as a two-way guard. He is one of those irrational confidence types of guys like J.R. Smith, Dion Waiters, who were both actually on the Lakers in the season. The Lakers need young guys to develop. Really, the only guys they have right now are Talon, Horton, Tucker, so they need another guy who they can develop along with him. Ramsey is a flashy and confident shooter. He is made for LA. Pick number 29 is going to be made by the Toronto Raptors, and they are selecting Josh Green. And I'm just going to say right now, I think I have him too low. I'm probably going to have him moved up by the time we get to the next mock draft. I think he's under the radar right now. He is a nice complementary player who can hit that open three, who can make nice plays, nice defender, cuts to the basket, whole lots of potential with him. The Raptors are awesome at developing young talent. I would be eager to see what they could turn Josh Green into. Pick number 30 is going to be made by the Boston Celtics, and they are picking Theo Maledon. And this is their third pick. He is an international guy, so since they have so many picks, they don't have a lot of roster spots. This is a guy they can pick to let him stay overseas for another year or two. He's a point guard who has a nice feel for the game, strong floor general who's become really potent shooter, though his lack of speed may limit his upside. He projects as a solid backup down the line, though. And for everybody sticking around till the end, let's do one more pick. Pick number 31, first pick of the second round, is going to be made by the Dallas Mavericks, and they are selecting Tyler Bey. No relation to Sadiq Bey. At least I don't think so. For everybody who stuck around for this one, here's what we know about Tyler Bey. He is what the Mavericks need. He's a versatile defender. He can be a difference maker on defense, can be a complementary component on offense. Reminds me a little bit of Grant Williams, who the Celtics picked in the first round last year. Tyler Bey is a guy who's getting first round buzz, so if you can get him in the second round, beautiful pick right there. Woo! All right, there you have it for today's video. Entire first round, hey, plus one other pick. The draft going to be November 18th. I'm going to have at least a couple more mock drafts before we get to that point. And then, of course, once the draft happens, going to have all kinds of analysis for you once it's over. Remember, if we get to 700 likes, I'm going to do a first and second round picks 1 through 60 video. So if you want to see that, make sure you click that like button. Also, click that subscribe button. Help me get to 10,000 subscribers. Would really, really appreciate it. We are on our way. This channel is blowing up. It's great. Hey, thanks everybody for watching. My name is Troy. This is the Half Court Report, and I'll see you next time.